Guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. In today's video, I'll be showing you my long-term reference and collection journal. And if that is of interest to you, please stay tuned. So first and foremost, I am sorry about the glare. That will go away once I start doing the flip through. I've tried to take that light away, but then it makes it too dark. So sorry, it's just right up here, I believe. This is my A5 Maisie Lane Co. journal that I purchased from her shop. I do have both my name and my channel name here. And I knew when I purchased this, and hopefully that's better for you guys, that I will be using it for this purpose. Now I do have a second one from them, and I don't know what I'm going to be using that for, so that's just in a box, safe and secure. Now because I have both my name and my channel name on the cover, this never leaves my room. I did not feel the need for the nameplate to actually have my name yet again. So for me, that was just a little bit cheeky. I did use my circle stencil to make that, and then I added some doodles that sort of mirrors the doodles down here just to make this a little decorative. Okay, so I'm normally very much the just live with and lean into your mistakes. And that's exactly what this page is right here. So I had done the lettering and I had liked the lettering. I had done this little grid page here, as you generally see in bullet journals. I don't use this, and I know that. So I was very haphazard in it, and I wasn't really liking how I made it look, but it just needed to be functional. I just need to know how many are across, how many are down, and where the midway points are for both. I don't need any other spacing guide on this. And I was cool with the lettering and the haphazard grid. And then I thought, after I had set up the next spread, well, let me try some of the stamps. These were stamps that my friend Andy had given me. And so I had done a few and they looked good. And then I had done a few more and they looked horrible. And I really hated how this looked. And I was very much the, well, just live with it. I mean, it's just paper, it's just pen, don't worry about it. Other than when you do a sporadic video, no one else sees it but you. And so I was going to do that. I was just going to live with it, even though it did not make me happy to look at, because I'm also of the opinion that, you know, mistakes are part of the process, and you shouldn't just either want to rip it out, not use it again, or tape it together. And so I went on my merry way, and I did my table of contents. Now I do creative journals. I don't usually do like an actual bullet journal style. And so I've never needed either an index or a table of contents. But as I go into this, you'll see how useful that can be for something specifically like this. And so I was working on this, liked mapping out the lines, and I thought, you know what? There's no reason why I have to live with that. But there's also no reason why I should just make like it never happened. And so that's why this will just stay clipped together in perpetuum. Because I'm going to acknowledge that it happened, but that doesn't mean that I need to see it every time I come in here. So if you're curious, and I know I should have started with this, what this is a reference/collection journal. So there's just some information that I want to keep in one place that is currently being warehoused in various places in various journals. This to me just makes the most sense for the way that my brain works and the way that I want to track some data, because when I get into the very first spread that I've done, that's what kind of triggered wanting to have this information in one place. And so I did do a double page spread on table of contents. I also have 2 columns per page. I don't know that I'll need this, but I don't know that I won't need more. And if I need to, then I can always add more table of contents later inside. I'm not going to try to see in the future of how much space I might need when this is really just a living journal for me. I did have to number the pages as the Maisie Lane code does not come pre-numbered, and for the most part, for most of my creative journals, I don't need that. For this one, it does make sense, and that's how this table of contents sort of works. As we go through this, I will reference this table of contents and how this works, because unless you're familiar with the bullet journal style, this might seem kind of strange to you. So this is my setup for the table of contents. I don't have a theme, I'm just doing it spread by spread. Now I do like how this came out. I do like the lettering of that first cover page, but I think this one looked just as cute. I did add some circle stencil here and then just colored in with some of my Tombows. I did use both Tombow and acrylograph on here. The lines that you see are the acrylograph pens. This is just the same grid spacing, it's just a little bit neater, and then because there was some dead space, I just added a cute little quote here. Now what really spurred me wanting to do this is this right here, this reading log. Now, I don't read a ton. In fact, when I did my first buddy read with Miss Andy, late 2019, that's the first book I had picked up for a while. I used to be a voracious reader when my sister was alive, and then when she passed, I just sort of fell off the wagon. But as I was setting up some things in my daily journal, I realized, one, that I had started picking up reading late 2019, but two, I could not tell you what that book was. I couldn't tell you exactly when we started and finished. I just know I did a buddy read with my friend Andy. We've done subsequent reads together, and not just Harry Potter related, but I couldn't tell you those either. And so I wanted to create a place that is not tied to my daily journal, which does get migrated out every 3 months. I didn't want to put it in where I'm tracking my movies and my television, because that is not in one distinct place. I wanted to create a landing spot for that information specifically. So while many of these trackers will be starting as of this year or even as of March 2021, I will actually go back to the ending of March or the ending of 2019, add in that first buddy read, and then add in all of the books that I've read since. It's not a huge list, so I'm not even worried about that. I'm really more concerned with the buddy reads that I've done with Miss Andy because I'm so thankful that she does buddy reads with me, but also I like the notion of having it in one place. And so this is very functional, and this is a continuation of that. But I wanted to also have this kind of cute, so I did make this bookshelf. This is going to be new books that I've read starting 2020, and so I've made little notes for myself. So it's not going to be that I'm going to be adding books here and here that these need to line up. No. So it's got 17 books here. That doesn't mean that I need to read 17 books this year. That's how many fit. And I've learned from watching other people who do bookshelves to make the books kind of big if you want to be able to write in them. And so that's why they are bigger than you would normally see. And then on here, I've done rereads because I did finish the Order of the Phoenix, which I had read before. There are some other books that I have personally that I want to reread. And again, I've counted, this is 15. That doesn't mean I'm doing 15 rereads. It helps me so that I don't have to count the books each and every single time. For this one, I liked having color on the spine and then adding the writing to. This one, because I want the focus to be on the bookshelf, I will keep the spines blank and then just have the writing there. So while some of these books may be on this list, not everything on the list will be on this bookshelf here or here. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, I just like knowing, okay, so when did I start my buddy read? What books have I read so far? And I can come into one place versus having to dig up my old Happy Planner, Skinny Classic, Happy Nietzsche's, because that's where that information has been warehoused so far. And so this entire thing is going to be full with things like that. So I did set up this here, movies that I've watched, and this is starting movies as of the end of 2020. So basically as of New Year's weekend going forward. Now I also have this information in 2 other places, but, and let me show you. This is the first place that I have movies and books and TV information. Now this is my junk drawer journal. This was inspired by Tori of Creative Minds Coffee Grinds. I will link her channel below. But this is really just a junk drawer kind of style. I just go from page to page working on various things. And so this is a book that I have read in January. And then it goes to a TV series. This is my ideas page for the March bullet journal spread that I did. I still need to do the 1984 Wonder Woman cover art there. And I do notes in here. I do what I might want to do by way of this journal here, which I'll show you in a second. And I just go from page to page. So this doesn't include everything that I do, but it also is very haphazard in the way that I do it. Now, if I wanted to know, okay, so what books have I read? What have I watched? I'd have to flip through this entire thing. And to me, it's useful in what I need it for, to keep notes of what I'm reading, what I'm watching. But it's not useful if I actually just want the data. This journal here is the really artistic, cute version of this right here. And so what I plan to do is fill this up with Bridgerton inspired Lady Whistledown Society review pages. And so I would do artwork on the left side and do like a synopsis on the right side. And so far I've done just 2, because this is a very time consuming process. But so long as I keep my notes in here, as well as how I want to do the different cover art, then that's fine. I can always do this as I need to fulfill that creative need that I want this for. This is a little bit of decorative, but fully functional. If I want to know what I've watched since late 2020, I just come in here. Now, when I was mapping this out, I did make a mistake. I wasn't making sure that the boxes were lining up somewhat, and I noticed that I was drifting. And so instead of just trying to cram it in or have it all go crooked, I just kind of leaned into the fact that I did make a mistake. I'm okay with mistakes. I wasn't happy with how it started in the beginning, and then I sort of tried to pick up from there. Now these are not perfect, but they do work. This is not carrying a lot of data. It just carries the movie that I've seen and when I watched it. I know that I have other places I can look for my thoughts and my reviews and whatnot. So this is really just data driven. This here are the coloring books that I own, and so I've listed that so far. I'm expecting 2 or 3 more. Yeah, I know. I have a problem. And then also my coloring book wish list, and these are just a little bit harder to get. Now, I don't need them. Honestly, I don't even need the 3 that's on its way, but I wanted them, so why not? I do have TV shows that I've watched. Again, this information is somewhere else, and so I just really wanted to just keep track in one set place where I'm watching certain things. I did finish WandaVision last night, or at least the first season, and so I'll go ahead and fill this in. Now let's say I get through 37 movies by the end of June. Well, then I would just pick up in the next blank page and I would do it again. And that's how the table of contents can help me. So I've written down here what the function of the page is and the page number that I can find it. And so if for TV shows that I've watched fills up on 13, I'm going to know that. I mean, I'm going to be the one in here. And then if, you know, I'm doing my table of contents and then TV shows that I've watched goes on page 72, then I know if I want to keep filling in, that's the page that I go to. It's very much the table of contents like you would find in any kind of reference book or any kind of reference information. And then the last spreads that I've worked on so far is just I do want to track my Happy Mail. I do have that junk journal where I'm going to sort of memory keep about it. But here is where I want to put actually what's coming in. And I think I'm going to start this as of January. So there are some things that I need to backfill. Now these are stickers that I had purchased from an Etsy shop. I believe it was the Corner Stationery. And I had gone back and forth about just keeping this purely just things that I'm drawing or doodling in, but I mean, these are really cute. Why not use them? And so this is just going to be a quick listing of the Happy Mail that I've received. Happy Mail for me can either be things that I've received from friends or some purchases that I'm expecting to come through the mail. Both are happy, they're not a bill. And then this will list where it's from, whether it's from a friend, Amazon, Etsy, Archer and Olive, whatever. And then this will be to denote for myself whether it was a gift from a friend or if it was an order, just so that I can keep track of that mentally. I did make that into a 4-page spread. Now this is not going to have a very detailed listing, but it will give me enough space for it. And then as you can see, the rest of this is blank. Now I do plan to do a comparison video between the various 160 GSM notebooks that I have, but that's in the works because I do want to play around with these various notebooks just to see how I like them. But this I'm hoping gets filled up. Now whether this gets filled up this year or 2 years or 3 years, I don't care. But at least I'll know that I can warehouse all information that I want to keep track of in one place and yet still create creative aspects of them in various places, just because there are just certain different things I like to do with certain bits of information. And while this is mostly data driven, it doesn't mean it can't be cute as well. I'm hoping this was useful to you guys. If you are someone who tracks various things, you might want to consider doing it. Now, I'm doing it in this journal because that's why I purchased it. But you could do this in Happy Notes. You can do this really in anything. But just having it in one place, I think, can be very helpful. Some other trackers that I plan to put in here are tracking the medications that I am allergic to because while I can find that information online, if in any event that I don't have access to that, at least I'd have it in a book here. I also, once I'm done with that spread, plan to take a picture of it so that it's in my phone. If you have it in your phone as a picture, you don't need the internet to access that. I do need the internet to access my medical records. And this will just be an ongoing living document for me. A little bit decorative, mostly functional. All right, guys, well, I'd love to know what you guys think. Have you done something like this? Would you be interested in doing something like this? I'd love to know in the comments below. All right, well, that's it for me for now. And as always, aloha.